Alright, Travis Wingdid, so while I'm saving results, or the lack thereof, spoiler alert, we'll do the video on consequences of Governor Herbert, Mormon boy, who's now gone national in his cover-up, or the consequences of his cover-up. As a Mormon, I know about consequences. That's why I was scared away from drinking, scared away from drugs, scared away from sex with hot chicks. That's why I became the shy guy. Is because of consequences. There are consequences to our actions. If we choose the right, it's supposed to have good consequences. If we choose the wrong, bad consequences. Now, other people may get involved, and their choices, whether they be good or bad, right or wrong, will have an effect on our consequences. Sort of like with my case. I chose the right to pursue translation and made decipherment discoveries and all sorts of things. And the church, instead of rewarding me for my good consequences, chose to attack me as if those consequences were actually bad rather than good, that Joseph Smith is an actual translator. And so now we have Mormon, Herbert, Governor. From the beginning, he had health counselors to tell him that, hey, we've got a virus, this is what you need to do. And in the beginning, Herbert didn't do it. Oh, but he had the Stay Home Safe campaign. Yeah, how many of you followed it? Yeah, wait, you waited until he let it escalate in Utah before he officially shut down businesses. Then you were forced to stay home and stay safe. And Utah is on record of getting an award for the most essential workers still working per capita in Utah, as people obviously fudged the reporting by refusing to stay home, stay safe, and calling their job essential when it's not. And so yes, Herbert was late. And we were notified of other countries that were late. And the results that happened in their countries by being slow to respond to this virus versus those who were quick to respond. Sort of. There's indications it may have been out and about spreading back as far as July of last year. But no confirmation because China refused to divulge what was going on. But yeah, we know from other countries the number of cases as they make the charts. And we all saw examples of when they shut everyone down, locked everyone up in their homes, that eventually it started to go down. And so America thought, hey, we will violate the stay home, stay safe. We will violate shutting down early, immediately. We'll let it escalate, and then we'll go home as a token vacation. And then after we get the government to give us welfare, we'll then have them take it back because we got to go back to work. Oh wait, we don't have a job now. We have to apply for one at some place that's open. Oh, nothing's open yet. Exactly. These are the consequences. As a governor, you need to understand these consequences. That when you have a virus, there are all sorts of things to consider. One, if you care about your people, you shut them down. You send them home. But you don't just do that. They need sanitation. They need food. Because they're no longer employed. They're no longer receiving money. So, oh, good for you. You're giving us welfare checks of $600. I'm sure that'll solve everything, won't it? Again, consequences. What is the cost of living? All these things he knew, and he failed as a governor. These are consequences. Mormons all know this. Herbert, as a Mormon, knows this. Do you understand, Mormons, what this means about Governor Herbert? He has had you executed. He has put you at risk. He has jeopardized your life, your liberty, your property. And now he's putting you at risk again by opening up too early and downgrading too soon. And as I found out last night, he's punked the liberal media. They think that because he hasn't gone green, that he's holding back on opening. He opened with the downgrade to yellow. Because Mormons understand yellow as, oh, it's not over, but we can go back to our normal lives without masks. Oh my God, the dumb. He purposely deceived us. He got caught in criminal activity. $800,000 of the hydroxychloroquine that kills people on coronavirus. He was going to give it to those who got hospitalized, those who tested positive. He was going to give it to you guys. You are going to die. If you have an immune system that can handle coronavirus, he's going to give you the drug and kill you anyway. But he got caught. Oh, who put my signature on this order form from the government for $800,000 for this drug that'll kill you? We'll have an investigation. How has that investigation come, by the way? It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been over a month. Have they not figured it out yet? Who done it? Or are they just creating a job for people to think that they're investigating, when all it is, hey, I know your brother, here's a job. It's a government job. What you're going to do is say that you're investigating, and we're not going to give you anything to investigate. And then people will forget about it, but you'll continue on with this job. And as long as nobody asks us, or ask you what you do for a living, everything will be fine. Herbert, to cover up his crimes against us, wanting to open up, wanting travel industry back up and running. All of a sudden, the airport director for Salt Lake is removed from his post. Oh, child porn? Oh, isn't that an interesting timing? Well, I'm sure that he's gone through the court process for due process, and we've seen him go the very next day. Oh wait, it was Friday. So Monday, he went in to have the initial hearing where he would have been appointed a defense counsel if he didn't have counsel for himself, right? We would have seen that on Monday after his arrest on Friday. Daybell did it. They covered the whole hearing of him. Huh. Now, whatever happened to Berg? He's disappeared, hasn't he? Governor Herbert framed him using hackers to plant child porn on his computer so that an anonymous tip comes in and says, hey, child porn. Now Herbert's opened up the airport because the one who was in control of opening up the airport is out of the way. There are consequences. Berg can't disappear forever. There are people who know him who are shocked right now as to what's going on. Berg needs a voice. He needs a proper defense. You can't just disappear a person without consequences anyway, because 6 years later, you never know. That guy may get out and then sue the whole state and the church as he finds out the church has been paying the person who had him locked up and disappeared. Ooh, I know exactly what happened to him. Yep, he's in isolation in the Salt Lake County jail. And according to the laws, being in isolation, you get no rights. You don't go to court, you don't get a judge, you don't see anybody, no visitation, because you're in isolation. You pose a danger to yourself and others. So the question is he naked or did they give him the outer shield cloth? I know exactly what they did to him. And it's lasted longer than my situation. I faked a toothache to get out of it. And they fell for it. And that set a chain in motion of my release 6 years later. Berg, however, apparently is not that smart, or they learned from my bad example and are not falling for it with anybody else. Because this one is a little more serious than just destroying the church. Oh man, I am going to crash and burn in a couple hours. Hello. Huh. Okay. Gotta take note of that. Oh yeah, Bill Maher. He has a show. That's right. He took off last week, didn't he? I think he did. Alright, I'll come back to check on this channel that YouTube is finally showing me. At a later time. See, as a result of Herbert doing the wrong thing, this is a virus. You cannot cover up a virus. I'm sorry, it can't be done. And as a result, it's now national news that Herbert's been covering all this up. Because I have such a severe outbreak, it can't be controlled and covered up any longer. Oh, look at that, an explosive device planted on a car. What car? Whose car? Where was it? I see a trailer parked next to it. So what's going on? Who is this that somebody is trying to cover up a crime with? Consequences, guys, consequences. See, you should have learned from Mark Hoffman. He tried to scam the church by exposing the church as a fraud and got caught. So what does he do? I'm going to build bombs and cover up my crimes. Let's cover it up. Federal court covering up. I mean, how much more do I need to talk about this with you Mormons? Do you not understand? You can't do the wrong thing. You can't do what's called in religion as sin, and in government it's called a crime. You can't do it. There are consequences. When you take somebody's life, there are consequences. Not a zombie apocalypse of the guy rising from the dead and killing you. But he has family and loved ones who have been deprived of his life and their lives. You can't go around killing people. You can't go around locking people up and having them disappear, like the airport director, like me. Blaming them for false accusations to justify locking them up and secreting them away forever. There are consequences. We might get out and then return a lawsuit and win, as the court has to do one final show of cover-up, having me wait until Tuesday, which I may find out on Monday. Because, as I found out, they deliver the mail at the end of the day to the post office, so that, I will find out in the mail on Monday before I find out on Tuesday. Those bastards. And property. You can't just take something that doesn't belong to you. They want their property back. And if you don't take away their life, and all the family and friends that have been lost from you killing that person, people are going to want compensation for what you've taken. There are consequences. This is not complicated. That's why we are supposed to have a judicial system to make sure that people don't violate people's rights to life, liberty, and property. So that the church doesn't get away with it. So that Herbert doesn't get away with it. Oh, but Herbert's retiring after this year. How convenient. Well, might as well destroy all Utah before he leaves, huh? Consequences. Spencer Cox is going to be humiliated because he is being dragged along with Herbert's consequences. As the Lieutenant Governor Cox is not stepping up and saying, you know what, Herbert, you're an ass. You're hurting my friends and family. Stop it. He's not doing that, is he? Those bastards are purposely making me wait to find out. Alright, consequences. Lawsuits. I have so many playlists, it's ridiculous to... I'll do LDS News, Utah News, Personal, Plot to Conquer, Crimes, Resistance, So have you figured it out yet, Mormons? Do I need to explain it in another way? Liken this unto you. Somebody takes away your life. Do you want them to get away with it without any accountability? Somebody takes your liberty away, locks you up, makes a false accusation to justify it. Do you want them to get away with it? Somebody steals your property. Somebody kidnaps your kids. Somebody rapes your wife. Do you want them to get away with it? Do you want them to not be held accountable? The answer is no, right? It's not complicated. Just stop it. Stop the hate. Stop the abuse. Herbert's choosing the wrong, and now the national news. Utah is a humiliation now.